Mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children not to hear my words, what they mean, what they say. Mother, mother, can you keep them in the dark for life? Can you tell them the way of the world? Oh, mother, father, tell your children don't stop tonight. What's up, Ben?
Hey, Darius, how you doing?
Do you know that song?
No, not yet.
It was popular in the United States about 35 years ago.
Okay, but I saw that awesome performance of you.
Guys, welcome to the Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh, and boy, do we have a special guest, my man, my friend, Ben Schneider. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me today.
Guys, those of you that are new to the Greatness Machine, you know that we're about two things: people that are living their passions and those that are creating greatness in the world. My friend Ben is doing both those things, creating some greatness, living some passions. So before we get started, though, I do want to give a little bit of your background, Ben. Does that work for you?
100%.
Perfect, guys. You know, Ben's joining us. His podcast manager actually hit me up and said, "Hey, you got to have Ben on the show." So this is actually the first time we met. But Ben is a German self-made serial entrepreneur. He's the founder of Jobmofy.com. We'll be talking a little bit about that in the show. It's a premium job search platform for hiring remote workers overseas. He runs a digital marketing agency and he owns the world's biggest e-commerce store for sea monkeys. And I can't wait to hear more about that. He reached the $10 million in sales milestone within 14 months of starting that business and only using Facebook and Instagram ads. And he's written the Amazon bestseller in German titled Facebook Marketing for Entrepreneurs, which was a 4-month bestseller in 3 related categories. So, Ben, welcome to the show, my friend.
Awesome. Let's talk about some business stuff.
Yeah, man, we're gonna go there. No more singing, all business. So, man, like, sounds like you like myself are a serial entrepreneur. How long have you been an entrepreneur for?
Basically, I started my career with 12 years selling Game Boys and PlayStations on eBay. But officially, I started with 18 years old, founding my first company.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how old are you now?
33.
Wow. Okay. So cool. So 15 years. Yeah. And that's just enough time where you get your ass kicked a lot. So you learn a few things.
100%.
And so you've built your business on the digital world. I'm the opposite. I built all analog, and then now I'm actually getting into doing digital. I'm building like some education courses and stuff like that online, and it's a whole new world. Like literally, I've been spending 9 months building the course was easy to build. The marketing side of it, building the sales argument, and now we're building Facebook ads, and I'm like, oh my god, this is and everything I do is wrong. Because my guy's like, no, you don't have the opportunity to talk to them, Darius. You got to plant the seed and get them to want to do something, you know. So for yourself, you started off selling stuff on eBay. Did you go into the digital marketing agency first, or did you do the Sea Monkeys first?
The Sea Monkeys had been the first then, but this was not my first business. This is the first business which was running very good. So I did a lot before. I've made hundreds of websites and trying to sell ebooks, and that was not always online. So I was the CEO of when I came out of school. I was the CEO of a company. We sold chickens in front of supermarkets. Not sure if you guys had that. Like food trucks. It was like food trucks in the US.
Wait, like chicken? Was it cooked or raw chicken?
It was cooked.
Oh,
it was
grilled.
Yeah.
I was like, no, we don't have a thing here in the States where we sell dead chickens not cooked out of the front of the supermarkets. But we do we do have food trucks. That's very popular here.
Yeah. So and I was the CEO of a company. We were also making. It was not that much. It was 1.5 million a year in sales. But then this was not something, and you were also someone who is talking about passion and stuff like that. And I had a great position. I was around 23 years old, and I was the CEO of more than 20 employees, and had was the CEO of a 7-figure business. It was not my business. But then I realized this is not something I want to stick to it. Because of
whose business was it? I mean, that's not a very big business to have an outsourced CEO.
It was like a franchise, and this guy who franchised it got me as a CEO.
Got it. You were the franchise. You were a franchisor.
No. I was just the CEO of that.
Oh,
and
interesting.
another one owned some of that franchises and put me as a CEO there. And I had not a CEO salary this time because I was young and I was not experienced, and I didn't know about some stuff. As a CEO of a 7-figure company, I was earning, I think around, I don't want to lie, I don't know it anymore. I think around 2,000 euros. Per month.
You're like, I would have been better being the guy making the chicken.
It was quite similar to that because I had 16 hours days, and I was waking up, I don't know, 5 a.m. in the morning and came back home midnight or something like that. So it was not something I wanted to be in. Also because of the ethnical part, killing all those chickens. We were selling thousands of chickens a day, and I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, but this is not something I want to do business with. And then I got out and I was thinking like, hey, I need to make some money with some other stuff, but hey, I'm young, I can do that. Then I got into the network marketing. It was a company called Talk Fusion. I'm not sure if this company is existing anymore. And then I started out with network marketing and direct selling, putting my friends on this business and all that network marketing stuff. And then also I realized this is not my business because I'm not that guy who, I don't want to sell you. I don't want to sell you something that you don't need. And maybe when I know you are not earning a single penny with that because you're not the type of person for that business, I don't want to have you bring in that business just to get a commission of $200 or something like that. This is not something I wanted to do. And then I was looking for a job in the e-commerce business, especially it was either Amazon or a local e-commerce store. And then I went to the local e-commerce store, learned there something, and parallel, in addition, I founded my own online store for the Sea Monkeys business.
So were you selling that on a platform, or was it your own platform?
The Sea Monkeys?
Yeah.
I started also again with eBay, and we tested it there. I started with a co-founder, but then after I think 3, 4, or 5 weeks, I went alone. We tested on eBay. Then 2 months later, I created an online store, an e-commerce store, and another 3 months later, I went in addition to Amazon.
So, why Sea Monkeys? Just niche? You're like, I'm gonna pick a niche.
Yeah, you should go for a niche, definitely. But in that case, it was not me looking for a business opportunity. My friend, who I founded this with, came to me and told me, "Hey, I bought this from a guy from eBay, and he's making so much money out of that. And if you tell me that, and if you're a good friend of mine, I will give you an ear for that." And then I researched a little bit, and this guy was selling pretty good, for the reason that he is, made it very unprofessional, but it was not tons of money. That was the expectation and the view of my friend, but maybe this guy sold around a couple of hundreds euros a month. But I saw the potential behind that. And then I was researching and was thinking like, hey, is this possible to create a business out of that? Because I'm not an aquaristic guy, and sea monkeys were not my biggest passion in my life. But I realized,
I don't believe that for a second. Sea monkeys
yeah.
were not your.
But I like them. I still, we are hatching them here, and I still think, well, these animals are awesome. So, but to be honest, when I started this wasn't like that. I thought, yeah, okay, it's fun, but maybe there is a business behind that. And there was, but it was also not an easy way. Also, if it's a tiny niche, but because the problem is it's a tiny niche, so you need to go abroad, you need to go global, because there is not that much potential in Germany or in just one country to make a big business out of it.
So,
but globally it is.
How big did you get the sea monkey business to? Is that the $10 million business?
No, the $10 million business is a client of mine where I've run the Facebook ads for.
Oh, got it. Okay, so
yeah.
So you're doing so you're running all the ads for the agency. One of the clients has 10 million in sales off of the
exactly.
And what's their product?
They sold gold and silver coins.
Oh yeah, that's popular, especially as the world printing presses get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. Also, in bad times for the economy, stuff like gold and silver is rising.
Yeah, definitely. And so, so you've built a lot of different businesses, and it sounds like you've gotten a lot of experience out of how do you convert, people digitally to buy something, right? How do you drive traffic that way? And you still have the agency, I'm assuming, or are you just focused right now on Jobmofy?
Me personally, I focus more on Jobmofy, but I have the agency too. So we're a team, and agency's running, and clients are happy. So, but yeah, if you have any questions and how to convert people, let me know.
Yeah, well, that I love to go into that a little bit because, like I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm it sounds like you have this experience too of being an analog, and I think it's normal. People get, very few people are like, oh, I'm going to become an entrepreneur only digital, right? Maybe nowadays it's more obvious than it was 10 or 15 years ago. But a lot of people who are entrepreneurs they start a business with something that's obvious, like a sea monkey, right? Someone's like, oh, they're making gold. They're printing money with the sea monkey thing, right? And then you go and start digging under the hood and you're like, not really, but you can make a business out of anything, really. I mean, someone makes money, to your point, off sea monkeys, which who would think that would be, a big business or anything you could actually make any real money out of. But to your point, well, there's 7 billion people on the earth. If, 1 million of them buy sea monkeys, then you have a 7-figure business, is my guess, or even 8-figure business. So when you got into the digital marketing on the agency side, what is like when you start to look at opportunities or people that have successful products that they're selling digitally, online, what is your approach to that or your secret to that?
There's not a really secret. So it's also, no matter what you're selling, if you have a service or if you have a product, you need to put in the work. It's always about consistency. It's not like you have a product and you put Facebook ads on it and then you will crush it. This happens 1 out of, 1,000 maybe. So it's always building a brand, going into a long-term relationship with the customers, creating a whole bunch of ads. So it's not just one single ad on Facebook. It's a whole ad ecosystem with retargeting on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and attract different people from different platforms, creating content marketing, educate the people about your stuff, try to be an expert in your niche. No matter if you are the expert, Darius, or if your online store, e-commerce store is the expert. So there is not that one secret, but definitely I would recommend to everybody, try to find your own niche and be great in that. So do not use, I have some consultings. People are telling me, hey, Ben, I would like to open up an e-commerce store. I want to sell smartphone cases. I'm like, okay, your smartphone cases, are they with gold or some special stones on it, or what's special on that? No, I just got them from China, and I want to sell them. Come on, this is not working anymore, because it's working. You can sell them, but you will not make a dollar out of it, because the competition is way too high. The marketing costs are way too high for that. So you need to have a product. In the best case, you have a lot of margin in it. And in another best case, you do not only sell it once, so maybe twice or on a monthly basis, or just people need it more than once. So basically go for a niche and be the best in that, and try really to be special in that niche. So do not, for example, let me give you an example. Do not create handmade tables. Create handmade tables with something special that only you are doing, but specialize on that stuff and be the biggest on creating on that.
So can I bounce my new product that I'm launching off of you and see what your thoughts are?
Sure.
Do you want to, let's do this. Okay. So I'm, do you know anything about my background at all besides my singing ability?
Not that much, but that can help if I should do an analysis.
Yeah. No. The reason I bring it up is that, so my last business, I grew from 30 to 1,000 employees in 3 years, and it was a 9-figure company, and it was a big lending company here in the United States. Now, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and one of my biggest thing that I do, I'm going to grab it and show you, is I use core values. So I wrote this book called The Core Value Equation, and so my whole thing is, how do you take core values and use them as an asset to create scale in your business? And for me, they're like the number one tool I use. And if you look at businesses that scale, especially the more headcount you have, or if you're trying to attract customers, and Simon Sinek, are you familiar with him? Have you heard of him before?
No.
He wrote a book called Start With Why, and he does a lot of talks. He's all over. He's very popular. He's like not as popular as Gary Vaynerchuk, but he's pretty popular. He's an influencer now. He's been around for about, 12 years or so. And so his whole thing is know your why. If you know your why, then you can promote your why. And he's written a bunch of books. He's a pretty famous American guy. So my thing is you got to you got to build your core values for your business and product. And then what ends up happening is it attracts people that believe the same things you believe, right? So if there's a common set of values in a company, then it gets your team to work together better. If there's a common set of values between the customer and the company, it attracts the right customer because they have the same beliefs as the company. So if we use an example, I'll use myself as an example. I really like the values of Virgin, right? Richard Branson's companies, right? So for me, if Virgin puts out a product, I'm more inclined to buy it, just because I like that company. I like the brand. I like the value system they have. I don't know their values, but whatever their values are, they resonate with my values. Now, what if I knew their values? It would make it easier for me to buy from them, right? So one of the things that I've done is I've turned the book into a course. I said, okay, well, there's a course, because there's a whole process. Like I could take your business, I could take your Jobmofy, or I could take any of your businesses, and I'd say, hey, we need to get explicit about what the values are. We should design them for scale so that as the company grows, you can attract the right people to it. They understand what you stand for. You can start to actually operationalize every single thing in the business based off those values. And then what ends up happening is the customer, when they come in, they have that the experience that aligns to those values. And then they should have a better experience, or at least they should have the experience with some intentionality around the beliefs of the company. Does that make sense?
100%.
So I'm building basically a mini mastermind, and I'm building a course. I already built the course, and the mastermind is the product. And so we're out there launching it. We're at the point now where I have a person I've been working with for 9 months on this, where we're doing Facebook ads. So he's like, hey, I need, we need some top of funnel ads that we're promoting. And so we're getting, literally, so I was doing this last night till like midnight, looking like, so he sends me some examples of these like 60 and 90-second ads for other clients of his, where they're showing a teaching moment to try to like see if, to try to build a lookalike audience for Facebook, right? Because they want to start to see who's the audience this is resonating with. And so I sent him we sent him shows, right? Because I have, 130 episodes at this point. And I usually get into these types of conversations with people. And so I sent him some stuff. He said, I don't like that teaching moment. He's like, and so I end up having to go back where I'm being interviewed to try to find these like little blurbs, these 60, 90-second blurbs to try to find a teaching moment. And I'll tell you honestly, man, I was like lost. I'm like, this is it. Because what I don't want to do, and I'd love your feedback on this, is I don't want to, a lot of people, they try to be the guru, right? And they go, hey, everybody, I'm going to teach you about core values. You should, and they do their little thing and you either pay attention or you don't. It's kind of cheesy. And so I'm like, man, that's off brand for me. I don't want to do that. So I've been struggling with it a bit because I'm like, well, that's not really my style, right? But I need to give him something that he can use so he can, build a top of funnel. So if you had a client with that issue, how would you help them? Because that's where I'm getting stuck a little bit on that.
Yeah, there are different types of how to do it. So in your case, as you mentioned, what I had in mind, what you mentioned, you don't want to be the guru guy. But the problem is you are selling yourself because you're selling your knowledge, right? So if you don't want to do hey guys, and by the way, this is mostly not working anymore because nobody cares about your course or anything like that out there. So if you are sitting in front of the camera and telling the people, hey, I'm teaching you how to grow your business because everybody's struggling with that, and you need to do that, then your business will explode like hell. And then you can also drive that Lamborghini and that kind of stuff nobody cares about today.
Right.
So what you need to do, what I would recommend you, is showing people what you have done in the past. So, hey, but this is not one video. This is a sequence of a whole ecosystem of YouTube videos, of your podcast, of ads, of daily postings, stuff like that. But I would recommend you, hey, Darius, what have you done in the past? You mentioned you have created an 8-figure business. You rose a company from 30 employees to over 1,000 employees, which is quite awesome. Not that much people out there have done that, what you have done. So this is your uniqueness. If I go, I don't know, 2 or 3 months into your topic, I can tell the same stuff you're telling the people, but I have not that proven track record. What do you have? So the informations out there are not that unique. And the way how you tell the informations might be a little bit unique. But what's unique is you. People are buying because they want to buy from you, because they want to learn from you. Why? Right. Because you showed them in 50, 60, hundreds of videos in the past 2, 3, 5, 8 months where they're following you that you have proven track record. You showed them the company. You showed them, hey guys, today I will make a video and show you how I built this company, how I did that. This is a client out of me. We built that company with him. We grow his company like that. These are some educational content and proven track record content that people will consume. And then your business will grow and rise. And then you will make a business out of that, but not during a top funnel ad, a mid and a bottom funnel, and then you will get the whole bunch of money. This is part of it. There's a whole ecosystem around that. This is my opinion. There are a lot of people out there who are telling you you need to have 3 top of funnel videos and then 5 educational and then 3 bottom funnel, and then we convert them and maybe we do a retargeting and then this is it. But I'm a long-term guy. I always try to build brands. I always try to build companies and not selling a video course.
Yeah, no, and the video is just part of it, but it was yeah. I love that opinion, which is and I've heard that as well. Which is obviously it's one thing if you're a known entity, but you got to build that brand recognition. People understand what it is. They understand that you have a track record. But to your point, it takes time to do that, and you got to kind of get them into that ecosystem. So yeah, I love that perspective. So for right now, it sounds like the big project for you is Jobmofy, which is it's for essentially a premium job search platform for hiring remote workers overseas. What does that mean? Do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Sure. Would love to. This is Jobmofy is a remote worker platform. A remote worker means he's working at home, but the remote worker from the overseas means that he's working at home, but maybe in the Philippines, India, Bangladesh, or any other country in the world, which is overseas from your country. So there is no insurance costs for you, no third-party costs, I don't know, government costs or something like that. And the difference between hiring someone, in your case, from the US and hiring, for example, a designer from the Philippines is that the guy from the US costs you around $2,500–3,000 a month, and someone from the Philippines who is also working full time, it's 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, costs you around $500. And there is tons of money saving opportunity, because if you only have one employee, okay, it might be 2 to 2.5K what you're saving a month. But if you have 20 employees or 30 or 50, or in your case, thousands, imagine how much money you can save on that. And this is a great opportunity. So, and I'm working with remote workers since years. And Jobmofy, the most unique point on Jobmofy is the safeness, your security by hiring those people, because there are tons of other platforms like Upwork, and you can name that all. There are tons of other platforms. But on Jobmofy, we have only ID verified users. So you know whom you're hiring. And this is one of the biggest problems hiring remote workers, because they have 10 jobs at the same time. You don't know who you are hiring. You have nothing. If you hire someone and this guy destroys you anything, you don't know which guy this really is. Where is he living? What's the address? Something like that. But on Jobmofy, if you want to hire someone, you post a job. And if someone is applying to your job, he has verified himself with his ID. And this is not done by us, like other platforms are doing it. We verify with a third-party service who is specialized in verifying people, for example, for bank accounts or credit cards, because security is very important in that. It's a great system, hiring remote workers. They are great guys, hardworking people and loyal people, which is loyalty is always important for me. But also, in addition to that, you can save a lot of money every month, but you need to be as secure as possible hiring someone.
So, right, especially if they're going to be in your system. So what would be the difference between a Jobmofy and, let's say, Upwork?
As I mentioned, on Jobmofy, we have ID verified users only. On Upwork, for example, it's additional or optional. You cannot do anything on Jobmofy if you have not verified your ID. Then we have a whole bunch of tools. I'm not sure which tools all Upwork has, but we have a task management tool, we have a time tracking tool, we have an invoicing system, we have a payment system, and we have a daily diary included in our system. So you don't need any other tools. If you want to work with a remote worker, the all-in-one suite is Jobmofy. You only need that. And in addition to that, we have a marketplace. So we are like Upwork and Fiverr in one platform.
And so, how many people do you have currently on there as far as like contractors overseas right now?
We have around 20,000 registered users, but not everybody is verified, as you can imagine. So we have around, I think, I'm not 100% sure. I think 5,000 registered and verified users on the platform.
And how long has Jobmofy been up for?
We launched, or it was not a relaunch. We set Jobmofy online in September 2020, and then if you place online a SaaS business, you're realizing all the bugs and stuff you need to improve. So we pushed it a little bit with ads, and then we decreased it and improved some stuff. And I think now since around 2 months, we are on a very good level.
And are you guys like venture funded, or are you guys self-funding?
No, it's all out of my pocket. So we are working on that since around 2 years. We started in May 2019, and we are around 16 people. And yeah, it's funded all of out of my pocket.
So is your team mostly overseas or in Germany?
100% overseas.
Got it. So you have a remote team. You're eating your own dog food, as they say in the United States.
Yeah, we are living the remote working lifestyle, and this is something very important to me, because I'm not the type that, as I mentioned with the chicken business, I'm not the type of person who is selling to you something which I don't think is very awesome. So I'm living the remote working lifestyle too. So for my e-commerce business, we have the storage here, and I have people who are doing the shipping, the packaging every day. But for Jobmofy, or also my digital marketing agency, there's nobody here for those businesses.
Yeah, it's funny. I have my last business I had, I guess right now they have about 500 remote employees there for that business. But when I started, we had zero, and then I brought in a remote workforce in India to do some administrative work for us, but it was a small team, maybe like 6 or 7 people, and then we built onshore 1,000 employees, like in-house, pay their insurance in offices. There's no outsourcing there. But we started kind of viewing it as a first step to automation was, before we automate, let's outsource. And then as we outsource, we can automate those functions, because it should be from my standpoint, it should be you want a lot of repetitive functions to be done outsourced, because there's language barrier and there's a training barrier. Some of those things, until you build trust, and it takes time to kind of overcome those things. So I did the same thing right now with my current, I exited that business in July of last year. And I started doing, essentially I do a coach. So I coach 8 and 9 figure CEOs. I have about 11 of them. So my average client, they do about $70 million a year in revenue. And I have about almost a dozen of them. But I was having to do all this administrative work. And so I brought over my assistant, Tiffany, she's in the room with us right now. And she's onshore. She's here in Austin, Texas with me. But we started having a lot of these administrative functions. So we hired actually a couple people in the Philippines. So we have a couple folks in the Philippines, super dependable. They do a lot of work for us. I've had a great experience. I like using it. I use Upwork a little bit, but it sounds like you guys have more of a management, like an employee management platform built into yours, not just a recruiting platform. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. That was also important for me, because as I experienced all that kind of stuff, if you want to have a time tracking, you need to have a time tracking tool. If you want to have a task management, you need to go for like Basecamp or anything like that. And I didn't want to have that. So I was like, hey, how can we create an all-in-one platform? Because most of the people out there aren't working with remote workers right now. So how can we make them able to hire and work with remote workers on a daily basis as easy as possible? So let's create it all in one account. So you as an employer and the employee log in into Jobmofy every day, and there you have all the tasks and the time tracking and the invoicing, especially the invoicing stuff. I'm not 100% sure how it's in the US, but I need an invoice for my accounting for paying freelancing work. And most of the people from the overseas, they don't know that. They don't care about that. So on Shopify, it's super easy that they are sending you the invoice you need for your accounting.
What and so for a typical like let's use a typical administrative person hourly in the Philippines, what is something like that cost per hour for on your platform?
So that depends, because you are choosing the person, like you do on other platforms. So it's if you hire someone, you do not hire from Jobmofy, you hire directly. We are just a platform. But I think if you need to go for a VA or something like that, the data entry people, they are around $400 a month, I would suggest.
And so
that's something I would offer them.
And how do you guys monetize then?
In different ways. So we get a commission if you buy something on the marketplace. We have monthly packages that you need to buy as an employer to use Jobmofy, to post a job there, to hire, to work with your team. So we have different monthly packages. We have a hiring service. So if you want to hire a designer, for example, or a developer, but you don't know how to do that, you want to skip the process, we can do that for you. We charge 3 monthly salaries. So for example, this guy costs you $500 a month. The hiring service is $1,500. And that's basically the ways we monetize the platform.
And like, would there be, and could it be any type of thing? So I'll use an example. Let's say I have this podcast, right? There's a lot of administrative sides of the podcast. For example, would be show notes. Like I need, someone to do show notes for me. I want someone to build the to edit the podcast, convert it to, clean up the audio, all that stuff, put in the pre-roll, the mid-roll, the all that good stuff. Is that something that I could find on your platform?
100%. You go for a podcast manager. But in your case, I wouldn't go only for a podcast manager. So for our podcast, the Business and Lifestyle Legends podcast, we have 3 people who are working on the podcast. So I have my podcast. It's a little bit more. So I have the podcast manager who is caring about all that kind of stuff, who is uploading, who is scheduling the interviews, who is getting in touch with people. We have a videograph, we have a designer, and we have a writer for that podcast who are, creating blog articles out of it, or the videograph is creating, for sure, the videos and the audio files and social media snippets we're posting, and the designers creating the designs, thumbnails, and designs for every guest to post on social media, stuff like that.
And so how much, like for that whole team, what would you say that cost you on a monthly basis?
Around 1,700, I would say. So,
and how many episodes are you guys doing?
3 a week.
So for 1,700, are they handling other social for you too, or just the podcast?
They're doing mostly podcasts. So the designer is doing a lot of other stuff. The designer has not that much to do on the podcast. The podcast manager is handling only the podcast, and the videograph is doing mostly the podcast, and the writer is also doing mostly the podcast. So not 100%. Only the podcast manager is 100% involved, and the others, the designer maybe 20%, and the other 2 guys maybe 60-70%.
And where's that all those folks based out of?
My guys are all from the Philippines.
Got it. So you have the team in the Philippines is basically managing the podcast, managing your social, and doing some marketing for you, and all together for all of those individuals, you're saying it's costing about $1,700 a month.
Yeah,
and they're
for the podcast show.
just for the podcast. But you're saying that the other, are you allocating an expense to them? Because if you have people doing some stuff for the podcast and some stuff outside of the podcast, is that part of the 1,700, or is that just the 1,700 just for the podcast?
No. I told you the whole salaries.
Right. But you're saying out of that 1,700.
Yeah. So maybe only for the podcast, it's maybe 1,000.
Got it. Okay. And that's, I mean, you're saying that are they doing post-production sound on that too and everything?
Everything. The only thing I do on the podcast is doing the podcast. So right. I'm not uploading anything. I'm not getting in touch with people before. I'm not posting some articles on WordPress or in the socials or anything like that. These guys are managing the whole podcast for me.
Wow, that's great. And so do they do stuff? Do they manage your email list and everything like that too, and do all that work?
In that case, no, because I'm the marketing guy. I have someone for marketing, but I'm good in what I'm doing. So I'm doing most of the paid ads and reviewing them, and so I'm doing mostly the stuff by myself. But they could do so. Managing an active campaign account or something like that is not something special for a trained remote worker.
Nice. Yeah, it's interesting to see how a lot of that stuff can go offshore. And obviously, you're an agency, so you're using a lot of offshore help to do the legwork.
Yeah.
Do you tend to want people to do less creative work for the offshore stuff, and more of like the administrative project-based work, or do you actually do creative work too?
I would say, so if you want to start with people offshore, you definitely should start with a designer, with a writer. These are the two easiest positions. Why? Because you don't need to give them access to anything. They cannot destroy anything. You give a designer some details and you get an awesome design, or if not, you can fire them. So there's no risk in it. But basically, you can outsource everything, but you need to have time to train them in some cases, because they don't know how you want to have it. They need to start working together with each other, which is a big point, that not only you are the one who giving the instruction, but let them work together as a team, so that you are making sure they don't need you anymore to run the business. But this needs some time, so you cannot, because these guys are awesome guys, but some of them are not thinking like you as an American entrepreneur. They are thinking like a Philippine remote worker. So you need to train them, you need to guide them, give them clear instructions, and give them some time to get into your company, to know how you like to have it. But then it could be an awesome and long-term relationship.
And do you, as far as managing from a team perspective, obviously you have time zone issues. You have like how do you overcome some of like the collaboration, them collaborating as a team remotely? Like, how do you do that? What's your best advice for that?
I don't have any time shift issues, because my guys are working when I work. So in German, so if they work in my time zone, they are working from around 2 p.m. until midnight in their time zone. So this isn't a problem. And the biggest mistake people are doing is not giving clear instructions. So the first mistake is they choose the wrong people. So they hire the wrong people. They are maybe not clear in their visions, or they just hire someone that they have hired someone and not tried to others, or give them a test task or anything like that. That's why people are using our hiring service, because we are doing all that kind of stuff. And most of the beginners are not selecting pretty good. They just see, oh wow, this guy costs only $400 a month. Let's get them. They all cost $400 a month. If you hire, for example, a remote, a VA or a writer or something like that. But you need to find the right person, which is fitting into your team, which is fitting into your company, where you have a really good feeling with it. And this is the first biggest mistake people are doing. And then the second is that they are not instructing the people very well. They just tell them, go and find me some podcast interview partners. So, but this is not the instruction this guy needs to have. You need to tell them, hey, go to YouTube, type entrepreneur, type online marketing, type drop shipping, blah, blah, blah. And then write them an email give them a mask with some stuff and get in touch with people and stuff like that. So you need to give them sequences, you need to give them steps to go, and then they can move forward, and then we'll make that happen.
Yeah. So basically you need to hire good people and train them.
Exactly.
Exactly
this is a short version.
Right? Exactly what you do onshore. Yeah. It's funny. People don't do that. They hire them and they go, oh, hey, go do this thing. It's like, I don't know. How do you want it done? You know, like, what do you want done? And there is a language barrier. So that you got to overcome that a little bit. And
there's not a language barrier if you hire the right people. If you hire someone who is speaking perfectly English, there is no language barrier, especially for you as an American. For me as a German, maybe, but for American people, if you hire the right people, there is no language barrier. And as you mentioned, you need to train them. You need to hire the right people. And I'm happy with my guys. My podcast manager, for example, awesome. So I'm very happy and grateful for them. And you need to treat that people like that. A lot of people think I hire someone who is 1,000 kilometers away, and this is a remote working robot right now. No, it's a human like you and me. It's a worker of your team, like he's sitting in front of next to me.
Yeah. What do you
treat them like that?
What are your thoughts around it long term? Like, how do you deal with like adjusting their pay as time goes on? How do you know that their pay should go up? Do they tell you that, oh, I'm not 300 or 400, I'm 500 now? How do you manage that side of it?
They do not do that because of their
culture,
the characteristics of their culture. They do not do that. I do that by myself. So, but I have no strategy on that. It's more like a feeling. So when I say, hey, this guy is doing awesome work since the past month, let's give them a little raise. And you don't need to raise them from 500 to 800. You raise them from 500 to 550 or 600.
Got it. So, and are you doing that maybe annually, kind of paying attention and bumping them 5-10%, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Okay, that's good advice. And what about for someone in the States? Like, one of the issues I run into is we are so far off time wise, like 14-hour time difference, that we don't work the same hours because they'd be working all night long, especially in the East. What do you see? What would be how would you approach this if you were coming from the United States and doing this?
So maybe there is a time who is overlapping, maybe in the early morning or in late at night. This could be a possible way, or you don't need to work at the same time because of the tasks, or you go for another nationality. For example, maybe from someone from South America, from Brazil or Argentina or something like that. Mexico, for example, Mexico has awesome developers, for example. So there are ways.
So do you think? So that's I'm hearing what you're saying. So try to stay in the same hemisphere, right? But at the same time, if the task, and it depends, to your point on the task. Obviously, when we do that, I think they have meetings in the mornings because that's the end of their day, and they'll work a couple hours our time. But these are really insightful, and I think for anyone that's looking to go offshore, these are some common sense things that a lot of people don't realize. They kind of, to your point, act like it's an offshore robot that's going to get it perfect. And I'm like, that's not at all what this is. It's a human being that needs some guidance. Like I said, you got to hire right and train them well, right? And if you do that, then you get a decent person. But culturally, there's some differences. What's your biggest piece of advice for someone that wants to like have a successful remote employee program?
So besides the hire right and train them well, I would say work with them, because the problem could be sometimes if you just let them run, that the output is decreasing. So you definitely need to have either a manager or you are the one who are working with them, who are giving them a good feeling, tell them that they are important, which is the truth, so that they stay motivated. So do not let them just run, give them the tasks over a task management tool and let them do their stuff. This is a possible way, but 100% sure the output will decrease over time, because you don't need to hire a lot of remote worker. You need to form a team. You need to have a vision people are believing in and stuff like that, which is quite usual in a normal company too. But as you mentioned, in an office-based company, people are trying to do that. But when they hire a remote worker, they just let them run. And this is not working. So you need to work with them. You need to have meetings with them. You need to ask them personally, hey, are you good? Do you have any questions? Do you have any needs right now? Is all good with your family? How was the holiday? Stuff like that. They are team members, not robots somewhere. This is basically my biggest advice, to create a great team.
Wow. Yeah, that's I love it, man. Such great feedback. So Ben, we're rounding out towards the end of the show here. Why don't you let people know where they can find you? And man, I appreciate you so much. This has been such a fun show.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate it too. You can find me on basically benschneider.biz, B-I-Z, or on Instagram, benschneider87. Yeah.
Cool,
or
guys.
Jobmofy.com.
Yeah, guys, we'll make sure we put that in the show notes. Guys, check out Ben, Jobmofy, great new platform. I'm going to go check it out because I'm going to hire a podcast manager and I'll go check it out, and hopefully I'll find someone great on your site. That would be awesome, man.
Would be awesome. We have 40 days free trial, by the way, so without any risk.
Very cool. Guys, with that said, check out it, benschneider.biz. You can check out Jobmofy and all the great stuff he's doing, especially some of his best-selling books. So check that out on Amazon, and I'm guessing that's on your website as well. Ben, thank you so much, my friend. I'm so much grateful. It's gratitude having you on the show, and appreciate you so much, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun to me.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, great week out here. Everyone have yourself a safe weekend. Happy Easter, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace out. Love you.